Hello gang, good to see you all again. Of course, if you're tuning in for the first time, I am the Articulate Grunt. Welcome to my channel. Now, as you can tell from the title, I had a subscriber request some time ago on whether or not, with all the threats thrown back and forth, Israel could actually strike at Iran. So, I was planning this big presentation, lots of maps, arrows going across them. It just didn't work out that well. My map editing skills are not as good as I'd like them to be yet. So, I'm just going to give you the facts and information. Now, the basic premise, short answer, can Israel actually strike Iran? Possibly knock out their nuclear facility? Yes. Actually, in two different ways. First, we'll go with the more conventional. Israel, over the years, has acquired 104 U.S. manufactured F-15 fighter jets. F-15s have never been defeated in combat and can fly with amazing amounts of damage. And they've got 104 of them piloted by what are arguably the best fighter pilots in the world. Some nations would say theirs are better, others generally agree the Israeli pilots kick ass. Now, if Israel was going to strike with the F-15s, they'd have to use extended fuel tanks, but doing so flying in multi-jet formations, they would easily be able to travel either the Israel, over Jordan, across Iraq and up through Iran flight path, or straight into Syria and across into Iran. Now, which is going to be easiest? Now, Syria is definitely going to shoot surface-to-air missiles, but their technology is low, and the F-15s have state-of-the-art defense systems. Plus, they can equip out multi-series packages, which means, let's say you've got 15 F-15s flying together, 5 of them equipped up with appropriate radar and munitions packages to counter surface-to-air missiles, 5, say, geared up for air-to-air combat, and the other 5 are your strike team going after Iran's nuclear facility. They've got the radar equipment on board, they've got the weapon systems, surface-to-air missiles, not an issue. Plus, when they get to Iran, going through the Syrian route actually gives them the path of least resistance. From what I can find in my research, and find along the flight paths and the known positionings and such, Iran, they'd have to bypass or cut through 11 Iranian surface-to-air missile sites. Now, that could be a big thing. Iran totes and talks up all their stuff, but in the facts of it, the radar systems are Chinese manufactured, readapted to work with Soviet or old U.S., I mean old, like 60s and 70s U.S., surface-to-air missile systems, Hawkeye missile systems. So, what's that mean? Please, light us up with the radar so we know exactly where you're at, and boom, the surface fire systems are dead. Now, they'd need more than 15, but they've got 104. I was just using 15 as a ratio to show you the type of packaging you'd want to go with. Arriving on time using the extended fuel tanks, they'd have plenty of time on station flying overhead to target in and pretty much eliminate the system, because you'd want to use a drill bombing system. This is where you fire from the air, your first missile or bomb hits, and you let it detonate, say destroying surface buildings. You fire again, clearing rubble. You continue to fire, and you literally drill with explosions down through the ground to get to those refineries the Iranians have underground, where they're enriching the plutonium. And then boom, you've got it, it's out, and you fly home, and you cleared the flight path on the way in. Now, the longer, more difficult route, but chancier whether or not they'd be fighting as much surface-to-air missile, much less air cover, would be to hop over Jordan, which may or may not fire because they're also a U.S. ally, fly over Iraq, which doesn't have its surface-to-air and military capabilities as far as air power goes, anywhere up to stuff and capability yet, and then cross into Iran. Now, that would give a less surface-to-air sites to contend with, but give more warning and be a longer flight path over more borders. But that's the more conventional method. The thing I found that surprised me is that Israel currently has 4 Dolphin-class submarines, with the 5th about to finish production. Now, what is a Dolphin-class submarine? Dolphin-class submarine is a small to medium-sized sub, manufactured under contract in Germany to Israeli specifications and paid for by the Israelis for Israel. Now, the thing of it being, the tubes on the Dolphin-class submarine, the torpedo tubes on the Dolphin submarine are of a size to be capable of carrying the Popeye cruise missile, which is manufactured in Israel by the Israeli Armed Defense Force. Popeye cruise missile has a range of 1,500 kilometers. It won't quite reach the Iranian facilities from Israel. But the Dolphin sub can carry them, and the Dolphin submarine crews have been involved in training operations as far out as the Philippines. Now, what this means is there will be no problem for the Dolphin sub crews to go around and down, go out, circle around Saudi Arabia, and either go into the Gulf, or if Israel really wanted to play the douchebag move and confuse everybody, it can fire the cruise missiles out the torpedo tubes, which then under the guidance systems pop the surface, go airborne, zoom in on their targets via either self-embedded guidance programmed in or satellite uplink. They can pop up out of the water and then guide it onto the targets. Once again, using nuclear drilling, the place is going to be gone. F-15s, not so much nuclear drilling, conventional. Popeyes, let me put it this way. The bomb, Batman, that was dropped on Nagasaki back in World War II, carried a 1.176 kilogram warhead. Popeye cruise missiles are capable of carrying an 18 to 22 kilogram nuclear warhead. Let that sink in for a sec. Now, I was mentioning douchebag move. If the Israelis really wanted to fuck with people's heads, I was consulting the maps, looking things over, trying to get my maps to work, and there are actually 2 river delta areas where they could sail up into the coastal waters of Pakistan, which is a nuclear nation and borders Iran, and fire from within Pakistani territory, making it look like, to all radar signatures, that Pakistan had fired nuclear cruise missiles into Iran. How's that for one to mess with your brain? So, if Israel decided to, could they strike Iran? Yes. They could either hit them with waves of F-15s, fight their way through Syria, cross over into Iran, fight their way through Iranian fighter defense and surface air missile sites to conventionally bomb and knock out the nuclear facility, or just nuke it with cruise missiles. So, there you have it. That's the information I was able to find. Hope that answers all your questions. If not, leave me your questions, comments, and statements down below. Remember to hit the like or dislike. And remember, stand up, be heard. Decide whether or not the risk in the fight is worth it. And if it is, fight the fight. With that, I'll catch you next time. Take care. I am the Articulate Grunt. Bye.